Hey guys, this is your host Nitin Binhani, and a very warm welcome to my startup podcast channel Jazair Audio, where we share real stories with real learnings.
Today, we're covering one of the biggest startup crashes in recent history. 23andMe, a genetic testing pioneer once valued at $6 billion, has now filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy to help the $50 million company sell itself. With 40% of the workforce already gone, the founder and CEO Anne Wojcicki has stepped down after her multiple failed takeover bids were rejected by the 23andMe's board. The recent buyout offer valued the company at a shocking $11 million, much below the ask of $50 million, a steep 99.82% drop in valuation, and a far cry from the $3.5 billion market capitalization when it went public in 2021. So, what went wrong? Let's break it down into 6 parts. Part 1. The rise. Founded in 2006, 23andMe promised to revolutionize personal health care. Customers for under $100 could order a sleek saliva-based DNA test kit and get insights into their ancestry, health risks, and even quirky personal traits. Millions of people signed up. The company vouched for its futuristic, personalized medicine strategy that is tailoring treatments and healthcare strategies to an individual's genetic profile. For a while, it seemed like a massive win, and at its peak, 23andMe was even valued at $6 billion. However, beneath the surface, the cracks were already forming. Part 2. The regulatory concerns. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration, or FDA, had serious concerns about the health reports that 23andMe was providing. Back in 2013, the FDA essentially shut down the company's health-related services, citing a lack of evidence that the reports were accurate. This was a huge blow. It took years for 23andMe to work through the red tape and get FDA approval for a limited set of health reports. But by then, the damage was done, the trust had been eroded, and the company had lost momentum. Part 3. Flawed business model. A one-time DNA test sounded groundbreaking, but the business model was fundamentally flawed. Customers bought a kit once and had little reason to make another purchase. Thus, the customer acquisition costs kept growing, whereas the lifetime value remained relatively low, and retention was nearly impossible. The company tried launching a subscription service, but it lacked compelling value. Subscription models don't work without ongoing value. If customers can get everything they need from a one-time purchase, you're in trouble. The Netflix figured this out, but 23andMe didn't. So in the end, 23andMe pivoted to what many argued was its real business model all along, selling the genetic data. Part 4. Pivot to pharma partnerships. The company struck a $300 million deal with GlaxoSmithKline, or GSK, to use genetic data for drug discovery. Privacy concerns from customers exploded, but this was not the only problem. Drug development is slow, expensive, and unpredictable. And, with no reliable revenue stream, the GSK partnership eventually ended, leaving 23andMe struggling to find direction. Every startup faces roadblocks, however the great ones pivot. But 23andMe didn't. Instead of reassessing their model, they doubled down on consumer DNA testing and pharma, despite the clear signs that neither was working at scale. They had no meaningful second act, and as the losses piled up, time ran out. Part 5. Disasters continue to hound. In 2021, 23andMe went public via a SPAC merger at a $3.5 billion valuation. But public markets demand predictable growth, and 23andMe's model was anything but predictable. Investors weren't buying the "we're figuring it out" strategy. Stock prices collapsed to just 0.5% of their peak, leaving the company gasping for air. Then came the infamous 2023 hack that exposed personal details of millions of users. The lawsuits came with accusations of misleading consent forms, failure to protect customer data, and breaches of trust piled up. The company signed an agreement that involved a $30 million settlement and a promise of 3 years' worth of security monitoring. Trust is a one-time currency. You lose it once, and no amount of PR can fully restore it. In health tech, losing consumer trust is like game over. Part 6. Leadership Missteps and Bankruptcy. 23andMe's board backed risky bets, and the investors wanted fast returns. When those bets failed, confidence crumbled. Ann Wojcicki, the founder and CEO, stepped down as the company spiraled toward bankruptcy. The leadership's inability to shift gears when warning signs appeared sealed 23andMe's fate. So, even well-funded companies can collapse when they lose sight of what truly matters, building sustainable value for both customers and stakeholders. Technically, Chapter 11 means 23andMe is restructuring, but the road to recovery from here looks nearly impossible. Here's the worst part. The company is offloading its most controversial asset, i.e., genetic data of 15 million customers. Despite possible privacy issues, genetic data offers huge potential for everything from medical research to advertising. Privacy advocates and 2 state attorneys general have urged Americans to delete their data on the service. So, was 23andMe's downfall inevitable, or was there a path for pivot to survival? Besides, should companies monetize customers' data, or should it be off limits? Let us know by commenting on the podcast. Folks, that's it for today. Thanks for tuning in. Please like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Join us next time as we continue exploring the dynamic world of startups and the valuable lessons from their journeys.